All right, so this is parallelograms in the coordinate plane. In order to do this lesson, you are going to have to know how to find slope, and then also know that perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. Okay, so go ahead and pre-rate yourself on how you feel about this topic, which is I can identify a quadrilateral as a parallelogram, a rectangle, a rhombus, and or a square given the 4 points. All right, so we're going to jump right into practice here. The first one says the coordinates of the vertices of quadrilateral ABCD are, and then I give you a list of 4 points. Determine if ABCD is a parallelogram, a rectangle, a rhombus, and or square by using appropriate formulas. Show all work, and you must state a reason. That's off to the right for the reasons. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a sketch of this quadrilateral, I should say. Okay, so we did do this with a parallelogram only before, so we're just taking it a couple steps further. Okay, so there's my quadrilateral. Here's A, B, C, and D. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take it and I was going to take it and shrink it a little bit, only because you only need it for reference. You don't need to actually do work on it here, okay? All right, so first thing we're going to check for to see if it's a parallelogram. If it's not a parallelogram, then we can stop because it's not a rectangle, it's not a rhombus, it's not a square, and we can just say no for the rest of them. All right, so we're going to check to see if it's a parallelogram. So we're going to see, is AB parallel to DC? So I'm going to start with AB. All right, so A, I'll call x1, y1, and B, I'm going to call x2, y2. And I'm going to use my slope formula. So I'm going to do y2, which is 6, minus y1, which is 2, over x2, which is -1, minus x1, which is a -7, so double negative. Remember, that's going to make a positive. So I have 4 over 6. That fraction is simplifiable, so we do want to simplify it. 2 goes into 4 twice, 2 goes into 6 3 times. So the slope of AB is 2/3. Now we're going to do the slope of DC. I'll get my eraser out. I'll erase x1, y1 there so I don't get confused. And then I'm going to use D and C. So it doesn't matter which one's x1 and which one's y1, right? So you could have the first DB11 or CB11. I like to go left to right, so I'm going to go 1, 1, 2, 2. All right. So now I'm going to do my slope formula, -4 minus 0 over -3 minus 3. All right, let's see what we get here. I have -4 over -6. That's a double negative, so it's going to become positive. And then 4 over 6 simplifies to 2/3. So far I have that these two lines are parallel. Now I need to check AD and BC. I'm going to switch colors here just so we can see that we're switching to the other two lines. So I'm going to check the slope of AD, and then I'll do the slope of BC. All right, so I'm going to erase this once again, AD. So I'll do X, Y, and then I'll do 1, 1, 2, 2. All right, y2 is -4 minus y1, which is 2, over x2, which is -3, minus x1, which is a -7. So double negative makes a positive. That's -6 over -3 plus 7 is 4. This fraction is simplifiable. It is negative since the 6 is negative. Only one of them is negative. But then 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 goes into 4 twice. So we have -3/2. Now we're going to check BC. So once again, I'll come back up here, erase this, and I'll do X, Y, 1, 1, 2, 2. All right, so I'm going to do 0 minus 6 over x2 minus x1. 3 minus a -1, so that's going to turn to +1. That's -6 over 4, which once again is -3/2. So I just found out that these two lines are parallel. So yes, this is a parallelogram. Why do we know it's a parallelogram? Because opposite sides are parallel. Opposite sides are, now I'm going to use the abbreviation for parallel. All right, now I want to know if it's a rectangle. There's no additional work required to know if this is a rectangle, but you do have to figure out whether or not it is based on what you've done already. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at the slopes of these two lines right here, okay? If it is a rectangle, these are perpendicular. So if they're perpendicular, this is going to be a right angle. If this is a right angle, then I know that these have to be opposite reciprocals. 2/3 and -3/2 are opposite reciprocals. So yes, this is a rectangle. And our reason why, you can say one of two reasons. You can say the slopes of the sides are opposite reciprocals, or you can say the sides are perpendicular. So I'm going to say slopes of sides are opposite reciprocals. Once again, the other one that you can say is that the sides are perpendicular. Okay? So another way you can say it, sides are perpendicular. Either one's fine. All right, next we have to check to see if it's a rhombus. This will require work. Now, also, I did put a little right angle in here, and it can stay because they are perpendicular there. Okay? All right, the next thing I'm going to check to see if this is a rhombus. Now, I know I have 4 congruent sides to see if this is a rhombus, but that's going to take a lot of work because then I would have to do the distance formula 4 times. So to avoid that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the diagonals instead. Now remember, if the diagonals are perpendicular, then this is a rhombus. So I'm going to not hit that button on accident. Let me go back there. I meant to hit erase. I'm going to see if those two lines are perpendicular. So I'm seeing if AC and BD. So I'm going to do slope of AC and the slope of BD. All right, so let's see if these are perpendicular. Okay, let's start with AC. So A is x1, y1. C is x2, y2. y2 is 0 minus y1 is 2 over x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is a -7. So I have -2/10. That fraction is simplifiable. I know it's negative. 2 goes into itself once, 2 goes into 10 5 times. So if you think about what the opposite reciprocal of this is, it's the number 5, a positive 5. So if I get BD slope is 5, I know those two lines are perpendicular and this is a rhombus. Let's check it out. BD, XY, XY, 1, 1, 2, 2. All right, so I'm going to do y2, which is a -4, minus y1, which is 6, over x2, which is a -3, minus x1, which is a -1. Let's see what we get here. I got -10 over -2. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So if you look, these are opposite reciprocals, just like these were opposite reciprocals. So yes, this is a rhombus, and I'm going to say my reason why. I can say diagonals have slopes that are opposite reciprocals, or a little bit quicker, I can say the diagonals are perpendicular. All right, last but not least, I need to know if it's a square. This should never take any additional work. What you're going to do is see if it's a parallelogram, a rectangle, and a rhombus. If it's all three, then it's a square. So why is it a square? Because I'm going to say if it's a rectangle and a rhombus, if rectangle and rhombus, then we automatically know it's a square. Okay, so that's the gist of it. I have 2 more examples here. I don't think 2 more examples are necessary, so I'm just going to do one more example, which is example 2. And you should be able to pick it up from there, but I want you to see like how you respond or what it looks like for 2 things to not be parallelograms or not a rectangle. I don't know which one this is yet, so we'll see. All right, oh, and I can go back up here and I can put that right angle in just to show that we did check that. All right, so this next one here, I'm going to draw my little sketch, and I'll shrink it if I have to. If it's small enough, then I don't have to worry about it. I think that's small enough. A, B, C, D. Oops, I cannot go that way. So let's do that again. A, B, and I have to go into circle, C, D. All right, so, and I didn't mention that in the first one, but that's very important. Make sure you're going in a circle when you're naming them. You can't go left, right, which I almost did. All right, so we're going to check the slope of AB and the slope of DC. All right, so x, y, 1, 1, 1, and I'll do this to be 2, 2. And if I did do the second set 1, 1, it wouldn't have mattered, but I like consistency here. All right, so here we go. y2, which is 4, minus y1, which is 4, over x2, which is 9, minus x1, which is a negative 1. So that's a double negative makes a positive. This is 0 over 10. 0 divided by 10 is 0. All right, now let's do the same thing for DC. xy, 1, 1, 2, 2. All right. Negative 4 minus a negative 4, so plus 4, over negative 7 minus 3. 0 over negative 10, which is 0. So these two lines are parallel because they have a slope of 0. Remember, you can divide anything you want by 10. It's just 0 divided by 10 is 0. You can, however, not divide by 0. Dividing by 0 is undefined. All right, now let's see if AD and BC are parallel. So now we're going to do the slope of AD and the slope of BC. All right, AD let's see what the slope is. Negative 4 minus 4 over negative 7 minus a negative 1, so plus 1. That's negative 8 over negative 6. Negative over a negative is a positive, but 2 goes into both of those, 4 times and 3 times. That's positive 4/3. All right, so let's see the slope of BC. Let me erase those to not be in my way. BC, x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, so we have negative 4 minus 4 over 3 minus 9. That's negative 8 over negative 6, which is positive 4/3 again. So we just found out that this is a parallelogram. Yes. Why? Opposite sides are parallel. All right, now we're going to check to see if it's a rectangle. So we are going to look at these slopes and see if they're opposite reciprocals. The opposite reciprocal of 0 is undefined. It would have to be something divided by 0. And the opposite reciprocal of 4/3 is negative 3/4. So these are definitely not opposite reciprocals. So we're going to say no, because they are not opposite reciprocals. The slopes aren't. Or I can say because the sides are not perpendicular. All right, next we're going to check to see if this is a rhombus. Remember, we use the diagonals to do that. So I'll draw in my diagonals. That's BD and AC. So I need to find the slope of AC and the slope of BD. All right, let's start with AC. All right, so here we go. Negative 4 minus 4 over 3 minus negative 1, so plus 1. So that's negative 8 over 4, which is a negative number. 8 divided by 4 is 2. We got negative 2. All right, now let's do BD. So let me erase this here. BD, x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, so we have negative 4 minus 4 over negative 7 minus 9. So that's negative 8 over negative 16. This is a positive answer because it's a negative over a negative. 8 goes into 8 once, 8 goes into 16 twice. So these are our slopes. If you look, they are perpendicular because they are opposite reciprocals. So yes, this is rhombus, our reason why is because our diagonals are perpendicular. All right, last but not least, I need to know if this is a square. It would have to be all three of these, so no, this is not a square, and my reason why is because it's not a rectangle. So since it's not a rectangle, it cannot be a square. Okay, if you look at the next one, it's the same idea. I don't think another one needs to be done, especially on a screencast. You can try that one yourself. I think that's a great idea. If you try this one yourself, you should get that the sides are parallel. So you can try it yourself and then come back and check this as I say it out loud. You do get the sides are parallel. You should get that PQ and SR have a slope of 2/3. PS and QR have a slope of -3/2. So they are parallel because the opposite sides are parallel. This is also a rectangle because the slopes are opposite reciprocals, or the sides are perpendicular. Then we have then we have rhombus where you have to check the diagonals. You get the diagonals have slopes of 5 and -1/5. So the diagonals are perpendicular, and therefore it is a square because it is a rectangle and a rhombus. All right, that's it for this screencast. Go ahead and re-rate yourself about how you feel about identifying a quadrilateral as whether it's a parallel